Cody Bellinger has opted in, and we're going to talk about what it means for our Chicago Cubs.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. On Saturday, Cody Bellinger picked up his player option for the 2025 season for $27.5 million. While Bellinger gives the Cubs either an everyday right fielder or first baseman who can also have a nice impact offensively, this decision does limit the Cubs financially, as Jed Hoyer and the front office currently have, according to Fangraphs, about $43 million instead of the $70 million without Bellinger to that first luxury tax threshold. And actually, Sam, as we talk not only this episode but throughout the week, it's really both financial and positional flexibility. But we can start with financial first.
Well, look. I can start with both, really. Here's the...
They're limited. Either way, they're limited.
Here's the scenarios now that you're left with. Let me explain why we keep using the word limited flexibility.
Right.
Jed now has two choices to make, and one's dependent on the other. So two questions to answer, okay? Question number one. Are you going to run this back offensively with the position players now? Because as we've spoke about it, we know where Bellinger's going to be. We know PCA, Happ, Bush, Nico if healthy, Dansby, Paredes. We know that. And you still have to make a room for a guy like Matt Shaw, hopefully at some point. So the first question is, are we just going to run this back offensively? The answer hopefully will be no, okay? So, Matt, if the answer is no, here's the more difficult second question.
Sure.
The difficult second question is, if the answer is no, which one of these guys is the most expendable do you get that you could give up to open up a slot for that power bat? Because the conundrum Jed has created for himself is none of these guys are the problem, but none of them are the solution. So right. It's not like you could go and go, all right, that's it. It's got to trade Horner and we're good now. You know what I mean? He's the guy that's really hurting this team. They're all the same between 2 and 4 WAR guys that are all nice players, but they're missing that guy. So if you decide to shake things up, if you decide now to go get a power bat, who do you trade? What do you do? So after reflecting on our mini episode on Saturday afternoon while Illinois was getting beat down in their home building, I was thinking to myself that I could see teams that strike out on Juan Soto maybe opting for a trade for a guy like Cody Bellinger for a year at $27 million and an extra. I kind of thought about that. Maybe that's the guy. Maybe they say, all right,
okay.
Hey, Mets, you guys struck out on Bellinger. $27 million 1 year. If he plays well, he'll opt out. Is that because it's not like it's a horrendous contract? So maybe they could do it that way. Because Matt, who's the guy? Who's the guy that you move on from? I'd like to say maybe Bush, but we're going to talk about this week. Tom's not going to want to give up a guy not making a lot of money. Nico at 11.5 would be great to give up, but he's injured. So those are the two things. Are you going to run this back? The answer should be no. If no, who's the guy that goes to make room for a power bat?
So without Bellinger, so right now the Cubs don't have a cleanup hitter. I'm going to show you the lineup in a couple minutes. Without Bellinger, they also don't have a 3 or a 4 hitter.
Right.
Because I really like, or somewhere in the top 3-4 spots, you don't have two of the 4. That's a problem.
Right.
I feel good about Hap, Suzuki, Bellinger at the 1, 2, and 3 spots. I do. I think the Cubs got a good player back on Saturday. That's what Bellinger is.
Say that one more time. What spots? I'm sorry to cut you off. The one.
So Hap and Suzuki are in your 1 through 4 spots somewhere,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
They for sure have one of those slots open. But without Bellinger returning, they have 2.
When you say one of those spots open, you mean in terms of like someone we don't know who's going to hit there?
Yes.
Okay.
And not only that, they don't have someone who has the prerequisites to do it.
Right. Right.
Michael Busch can't be there.
Right.
Dansby Swanson, Isaac Paredes, Nico Horn. These guys aren't 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters, especially 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Could we both say that a Hap, Suzuki, Bellinger 1, 2, 3? You feel good.
I don't feel great.
But do you feel good though?
Okay. No, I can't answer that because I know what's behind them.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
They have a clear need for an impact bat who hits homers. That person will hit 4th.
Right.
Michael Busch had a great rookie year.
I see what you're saying.
But we don't know that he could repeat that. Plus, first base might be the only spot they can actually make an external addition. We know Seiya is going to be at DH or right. We know Bellinger is going to be at right field or first. Isaac Paredes, they just got in July. Do they really trade him? Nico Horner had that surgery a few weeks ago. Might not be ready for opening day.
Yep.
That decreases the likelihood there. So I really think that Busch might be the odd man out, but it's not about him.
Yep.
This is the Cubs' problem. And to me, there's only one spot available. That's the cleanup spot in the order. And that person is going to play one of 3 places: DH, right field, or first. I look at the lineup. Hap, Suzuki, Bellinger, TBD, Paredes, PCA, Swanson, maybe TBD, but likely Horner, Amaya.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, if you upgrade a catcher, you make a deal for one of those dudes out west, that elevates the lineup even more. But I guess my point is, yes, does the Bellinger return limit financial and positional flexibility? 100%. But then you don't have 2 of the 4 of your biggest spots filled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what leads me to the biggest question mark this offseason. Hey, who do they get for that 4 spot? Because yes, you can't run it back. That's Michael Busch isn't a cleanup guy.
So your answer to my question is number 1, no, you can't run it back, which I agree. And
Of course not.
And it looks like, according to this, your guy that it would be the most expendable would be Busch
or Paredes.
I
think it's one of those 2. Right. For the purpose of this graphic, I decided Busch.
So and my answer is gonna be this.
And I thought Horner was in that group, but then he had surgery.
Yep, agree with that. My answer is, I agree to the first one, no. I agree that it is Busch, but I don't, because of financial reasons, and what he's making, I think they're going to do everything in their power. And I'm contradicting myself from yesterday because I don't know how possible it is to do this, but I think they're going to try and trade Bellinger.
Wow. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I think because that's the easy. Now, I don't think they're going to probably have success, but that's the easiest path to open up this power bat. But I also agree with what you're saying. There's still a comfort level with Bellinger. He's a nice player. So basically what we're discussing here, and I think I agree with you, you feel more comfortable with Bellinger's bat next year than Busch. Forget the salaries.
Yeah, especially then because in your scenario, Busch goes back to second, or even worse, Swanson goes back to the 2-hole?
If they were to trade Bellinger?
Yes.
Well, yeah, no,
why do you want Busch or Swanson hitting second?
No, I would hit Hap 1, Suzuki 2, new player 3. And then I don't know who hits fourth.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Well, and again, this isn't our problem.
maybe Matt Shaw.
It's theirs.
No, I see what you're saying. It's honestly.
Well, I have some good news about the financial part.
Okay.
So it's $43 million to the first luxury tax threshold, but that includes all of the ARB eligible players.
Right.
Well, and again, this is an indictment on the Cubs' talent right now. But Sam, only 3 of the 14 ARB eligible guys are locks. 3. Steele, Paredes, and Pearson are going to be offered contracts 100%.
Yeah.
If you decide to not offer the other 11 guys, that number goes up to 63.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a lot with 63 million in flexibility. And by the way, that's a self-imposed line, which we're going to talk about later this week.
You're right. No, you're right.
63 is different than 43. It is.
Well, that's a 25 home run player different.
That siphons the Bush convo. It's like, well, yeah, Bush makes $750K, but guess what? We're getting not only an impact bat in the 4-hole, but we're getting a starting pitcher too.
Yeah. I would be surprised. Here's the thing, though. This is what I'm so conflicted about. I would be surprised at this point on anybody that they dealt. That's the hard part. Like if I'm sitting around Thanksgiving, having a little stuffing, watching the Bears down 3-4 scores in Detroit.
Oh, they're going to get crushed that day.
And I get notified that Michael Bush has been traded, I would be very, very, very surprised.
All right. What if I told you about these 6 names that they could target? 3 in trade, 3 in free agency.
Yeah.
And we're going to break down this more.
But I would be surprised with Horner. I'd be surprised with Bellinger. I'd be surprised with Paredes. That's the problem. I'd be surprised. So we're going to get surprised if the answer to my first question is no. That's my point.
Right, because it shouldn't be a surprise knowing the goal shouldn't be to run it back.
Exactly.
If they run it back, they should. Joe at Obvious Shirts should do the T-shirt you proposed in the text yesterday. Yep. 83 wins.
83 wins.
But what if I told you?
Yeah, tell me something
that they could get one of these 6 dudes.
Okay,
6 is a lot, by the way. It's actually a pretty decent player pool.
It's a healthy number.
Here's the biggest one, I think, based on his number in ARB and his amount of control. Brent Rooker.
Wow. And
we'll talk more about him later.
And so would that be like a Bush?
And it would cost the most.
It would be, but would that be like a Bush, Casey, Horton?
Yeah, it would cost a lot of capital, but they have it.
They do have it, dude.
And he's under control through 27.
I see what you're putting down here. So you're saying, before you mention these 5 names, I know we're going long because this is good. It's productive stuff. It's very dreary outside.
Right. No, let's go long, unlike DJ Moore. No, he's actually good.
Iowa's better than Illinois. So when you're proposing, and I agree, that Bush is just going to be, or one of these guys is just going to be a part of a larger scale trade, including minor league capital for one of these guys, or to open up free agency. Got it. So
or at least one trade, right?
Continue the next 5, please.
Okay, so the next 2 are the other 2 trade candidates, but they are rentals. So I see it as being unlikelier.
Okay.
One is Josh Naylor. The other is Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Right.
Okay, but they're rentals. So I'm not crossing them out, but that would be tough, right? The Cubs really are in a position to get a rental like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love Josh Naylor. I just don't know, does he move the needle that much more than Bush does? He drives in runs, which Bush hadn't done last year.
Well, he hit 31 homers last year.
Yeah. And what did he drive in? Got it probably over 100 runs, 109, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Brent Rooker's got crazy numbers. And then we know about Vlad, obviously.
Yeah, we know about Vlad. Yeah, 31 and 108 for Naylor.
Here are the 3 free agents.
But Jed doesn't look at that. He looks at the WAR number, which was only 1.5.
Right.
So,
well, and I'm looking at WRC Plus now after last week. All these guys are in the top 50.
Well, WRC Plus, the best offensive stat.
Okay, here are the 3 free agents. I'll go with the first that least excites me, which a year ago I would have been totally different tune on this guy because I've been hearing about him for years.
Ooh.
Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anthony Santander
Yeah.
and Willie Adames. And
So-
any of those 6 immediately hits cleanup.
Yeah.
And they probably excite you as well.
Yep. I think we'll be doing shows separately on all these guys at some point.
Well, that's my proposal, yeah.
So I don't want to get too far into it or give it away.
But that's the 6.
Yeah, I mean, Santander at 44 long balls, in a really big park.
Right? And he's only 30.
I do believe that a player like Pete Alonso, despite his WAR, despite his batting average, would be an upgrade from their current position like Bush, just because I do still think that there's value in just 30 and 100, 30 plus homers. And so, yeah, I don't think any of those names besides for Rooker and Vlad Jr., I think if you were to trade for Rooker and Vlad Jr., I think you take yourself to, we're going to be really, really, really good. I don't think any of those guys move the needle a ton, but they help, and that might be all that's necessary. And by the way, I love Willie Adames. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and I think Boris wants Vlad to get to free agency. So then I think, and again, we could tease this for even next week, I think Rooker's the guy.
Yep.
I really do. All right, well, that was fun. More than I thought. I think that segment surprised both of us. But yeah, again, the Cubs, they do have limited flexibility, but
yeah, but let's
see.
But I think coming away from this segment from you is
I feel better. I think that's the sense that I get.
I feel better from what you pitched to me, and I'm not talking about a pitch from Neris. You know what I mean?
Well, and this isn't my job.
Well, no,
this is Jed's.
No, your job's to talk about it, though.
Okay.
Neris didn't have a good splitter.
Hey, coming up next, Quintin Berry is joining the Cubs staff. Stay tuned.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And let me tell you, folks, coming into today, we're recording this at about 2:30 Central on Sunday. I was on maybe my best roll since I've downloaded the FanDuel app. I was going as far as to thinking about posting plays. That's how hot I was. And I was humbled this afternoon with the NFL slate. So hopefully the Bears could bail me out. But unfortunately, Montez Sweat's going to be out for that game. I didn't know that. The bet's already been placed, but there's nothing you could do there. It's a great time with FanDuel. What I've been doing a lot with the NBA is just live betting. So I see the NBA, there's so much volatility. This team's down 18. I'm just going to live bet them, see what happens. And I've been getting to have some success with that. So just visit FanDuel.com, America's #1 sports book.
The Athletic reported on Thursday that the Cubs are hiring Quintin Berry from the Brewers to be their new third base and base running coach. Berry spent the last 6 years with the Brewers organization and the last 4 as first base coach, also working with base runners and outfielders. This was following 5 years in the big leagues for Berry, including a brief stint with the Cubs in 2015. So this is one person that got pried away from the Brewers and Council's old team, Sam. Not too big of a surprise.
No, but encouraging, because I just think that I'm somebody that resonates and vibes when there's a clear purpose. And that's one of the reasons I've had such a hard time with this Cubs team over the last couple of years, because I don't know what the purpose is. And it's clear to me that Council has made it a clear purpose to upgrade the coaching staff with his familiarity, guys that he's comfortable with, that he feels like will give us more of an edge on the margins. And if Quintin Berry is a really terrific base coach, like I've been reading, maybe that just makes PCA just marginally better, and that could be really big.
The Cubs have only one more opening on the staff because a few weeks ago, and we can report this now or relay the information, but The Athletic reported a few weeks ago that Mark Strittmatter is moving into the bullpen coach role. He's being promoted from within. And then two guys are being penciled into the strength and conditioning staff, one of them being former Iowa fullback Mark Weissman.
What?
Yes, he's been in the Cubs org the last few years, and he's come into the big leagues.
And former Stevenson alum.
Yeah, that's right.
So
the Cubs just have one more opening. That's at first base coach.
Well, Mark Weissman's a smart guy.
He's excellent.
So I could tell you that.
Yeah. So the Cubs got one more hire. I'm guessing they'll make it this week.
Is it first? Is it first base?
First base, and that person likely will coach outfielders unless Berry does, because Ryan Flaherty mostly works with the infielders. So they don't want to put too much on Berry's plate. Then that hire for first base coach will also need to work in the outfield. So
cool.
I'm guessing we'll hear about that this week. Maybe not.
I like these hires.
Just a preview for Tuesday's episode. 4 Central on Monday is when the first initial phase of movement stops. So our lead likely for Tuesday is going to be the roster moves the Cubs make Monday. And then any other breaking news throughout the week we'll cover.
What a trailer that is to get ready for these roster moves. I can't wait.
Keegan Thompson. I keep getting that confused. So, we'll see. The Cubs can't non-tender anyone until the non-tender day.
Right.
But they could trade or release or DFA.
Right.
So that is going to happen between now and 4 Central on Monday. Well, Sam did a nice segment on the Red Sox documentary. He even persuaded me to watch it. At least I've watched the first 30 minutes over the weekend.
Wow.
And I'll have to finish that up.
Man, 30 minutes for half of the first episode.
Right. So I'm hoping to watch the rest sometime before the end of the calendar year. But I have a follow-up question. Wow, no laughs. I have a follow-up question for him on that right after this. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Whether it's a Cubs game, comedy show, or concert, I love going to live events. Now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets with clear last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. The experience of searching for and then buying tickets on Game Time is simple. Plus, Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it?
Game time.
All right, I have a follow-up question here off the Red Sox documentary and Sam's observations from that. It's actually a pretty straightforward question. Ready?
Oh, boy.
Is your view of Jed Hoyer better, worse, or the same?
A little bit better. Yeah. Not like at a significant amount. It's just you wrestle with, because like Jed's made mistakes and some big ones, but you also you don't know the constraints, right? And so what was so interesting about that episode, I mean, Jed was not running that team, but he was helping Theo. I look at him like a Carter Hawkins. I know Carter technically is the GM of this team, but you know what I mean? It's still the same sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I just, I look at Theo, I look at Jed and going after Schilling and being aggressive like that when they had full owner support. I just, Jed's obviously had success. He's obviously learned a lot from Theo. And I think towards the end of Theo's run with the Cubs, he made some mistakes too. Clearly. And I think, we've talked about this. He left Jed with a tough mess to clean up, but just watching those guys and just like, to me, that's like history. That's like peak baseball. Like when you're looking at like, Manny Ortiz, A-Rod, Jeter and stuff, and just listening to them talk, being a part of that, you're reminded and remember like, hey man, this guy does know what he's doing.
Right.
And I understand he didn't have a great run with the Padres, but he's got one more offseason, and I'm rooting for him because I'm rooting for the Cubs. So to answer the question, it was a horrible answer. Yes, better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. Start doing Brent Rooker research. It did strike out maybe a little more than you'd like, but listen, 39 homers is 39 homers.
And he hit over 300.
Right.
I mean, that's
and
like
his art projection's only $6 million.
He had 293. At 293, 365, 562 with a 927 OPS. He can strike out as much as he wants with those numbers.
Right. If it takes 5-6 players, that's what it takes.
He drove in 112 A's batters last year.
Right.
And they are not very good.
No, they'd be wise to reload.
So he was a 5-WAR player, Jed.
He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
See ya.